Hi guys, my name is Julia, and for my presentation, I am going to talk about the School of Prophets. I thought this was a super interesting topic, and so that's why I wanted to do my presentation on. So just a little bit of the background. Joseph Smith received a commandment in 1833 to organize the School of Prophets just to help with secular and spiritual teachings at that time. The first meeting was in a room of Bishop Newell K. Whitney's store in Kirtland, Ohio. And basically, like I said, it was designed to help the church leaders at the time kind of better perform their callings in their spiritual lives and as well as their personal lives. So a few things that they did was just a lot of spiritual teachings, kind of extra teachings on the gospel. But then there were also things that were like secular reasons. So for example, they did the economic and civil planning for pioneer settlements and to help the saints better, to be better where they were. And then it also, something big was to help them prepare the endowment, which is basically be a power to come into the presence of God. So in the School of Prophets, they taught them things like this. They also taught about the word of wisdom. A lot of the men were kind of using tobacco when the School of Prophets started, but throughout that time, that is when the word of wisdom was revealed. And so they learned how to better take care of their bodies. And then also they talked about the ordinance of the washing of the feet, which is basically kind of preparatory to the endowment. And there's kind of a quote about this in the Joseph Smith papers that was written. It says, after much speaking and praying and singing, all done in tongues, proceeded to washing hands and faces and feet in the name of the Lord as communicated by God, of each one washing his own. So it talks a little bit more about the washing of feet. You can go to this to read a little more about it. It's super interesting. In a few prophetic talks, there's one by Jeffrey R. Holland. It's called A School in Zion. Super interesting. I had to read it for one of my classes. And I think I'd highly recommend reading it while you're in school. And the next one is A School of Prophets by President Hinckley. And this one is pretty basic. He just talks about the School of Prophets and the importance of it. And then there's a few quotes about the School of Prophets in the scriptures. So the first one is D&C 88:127. And it says, and again, the order of the house prepared for the presidency of the School of Prophets, established for their instruction in all things that are expedient for them, even for all the officers of the church, or in other words, those who are called to the ministry in the church, beginning at the high priests, even down to the deacons. So basically, the scripture talks about those who were a part of the School of Prophets and who qualified to attend the School of Prophets. The second one is D&C 97:3, and it says, behold, I say unto you concerning the school in Zion, I, the Lord, am well pleased that there should be a school in Zion, and also with my servant Parley P. Pratt, for he abideth in me. So the Lord is happy that there is a School of Prophets, and it's blessed. And then there's a few scholarly articles that I found, or not all articles, but resources. And the first is a book, says Salt Lake School of Prophets from 1867 to 1883. So it just talks about the School of Prophets and more details about it. I obviously didn't read it because it's a book and it's pretty long and hard. Wasn't super easy to access for me, but it does seem like a super interesting book if you are interested more in learning about the School of Prophets. And then the other one was an article in the Ensign. It's called The House of Revelation. It's in the 1993 edition, and it talks about Newell K. Whitney's home in specific and the importance his home had in the School of Prophets. And then I would consider this a policy doctrine just because at that time they needed to have the School of Prophets just to help further the church. And it was based on one of those temporal circumstances that they had that School of Prophets just to help the leaders know what they needed to do. So a few important concepts to know is the importance of continued education. We're always being told to keep learning and growing in our knowledge. And then the second one is the preparation for the endowment. And basically the endowment of the temple is super important, and School of Prophets talks a little bit like that. And then here's just a few other schools that existed, a few other schools of prophets. So Salt Lake City, St. George, and then one in Missouri, just a summer session. That was the first one. And then basically relevance today is the endowment and temple ceremonies and continuing our education. That's how this can relate. And that kind of helps us just know a little bit more about this school prophets and how the leaders were trained and got to know everything. So that is my presentation. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something or was interested to learn something a little bit more. Thanks. I hope you have a great day. Bye.